a save! Yeah! Hello and welcome with Datoma Motorsport, and we're here at Brands Hatch. It's the first race weekend of the year in the MG Trophy Championship, and we've brought our recently upgraded MG-ZR down to Brands Hatch for a weekend of fun. Building on a rather successful debut campaign last season, finishing first in class, third overall, and earning the Spirit of the Championship and Rookie of the Year awards, we are looking to take a step up as we move on to the 170 class. So I'm here with Tom, one of the team's co-founders, and we're just going to talk a little bit about the differences between the 160 class we were in last year and the 170 class that we're now in. So Tom, what are some of the differences?
Well, it's mostly to do with suspension. The 160 is basically a road car with lowering springs and some safety equipment. So once you go to the 170, it's much more you coilovers, you can have a different ECU mapping, your geometry is a lot more open, you can start to set what you want in that regard. And you know, Class C, it's a good way of getting into the motorsport. It's a really good way for a novice to learn the ropes, but by going to Class B in the 170s, which is the most populated class by far, you start to learn your racecraft a lot more. It's a good challenge for Matt, see how he can get on. Quite pleased with his progress so far, and hopefully it just continues and that we all grow as a team as well. So yeah, that's the crux of it really.
Friday saw us complete a full day of testing across 4 different sessions. The first session was all about shaking down the new car, making sure everything worked and that nothing fell off. However, Matt felt comfortable enough in the car to push from the start. The weather got worse throughout the day, with each session seeing an increased amount of standing water, giving Matt a hard time. But he mastered the conditions and set competitive lap times to the cars around him. A few setup changes here and there in between sessions gave him the edge, helping him set faster times across the day. We doubt he set the fastest time of the day though, as we were joined on track by an Aston Martin Vulcan AMR Pro, which proceeded to waltz its way past Matt through Paddock Hill Bend, sending the rest of us looking for our Fernando Alonso hats. So a bold start to the weekend for Matt. Now it was time to put the car to bed for the night, not before a little alteration to our livery first. Saturday morning started with making final setup changes to the car, changing a few more sponsor stickers and finishing off the previous night's pizzas. Once all that was sorted, Matt got himself psyched up and ready for the first competitive running of the season, qualifying. This was our first opportunity to see what times Matt could do against his rivals on a dry circuit, and he didn't disappoint. For race 1 he managed to qualify a respectable P10 overall and P7 in class with a 101.998, out-qualifying a car from the class above. Being Mr. Consistent, Matt's second fastest time was only 0.03 of a second slower than his fastest, giving him the same starting position on the grid for race 2. With qualifying over, we needed the directions of our tyres changing, so we could run them on the opposite side of the car and reduce the wear on the current inside shoulder. Thankfully, there was a Dunlop tyre changer on hand to swap the tyres over. Once that was done, it was time to load up the tyres and go racing. With Matt suited and booted and last minute checks on the car complete, it was time for the first race of the weekend. The anticipation was high for the first race, as we could finally see Matt race bumper to bumper with a new set of cars and drivers around him. Starting P10, Matt got off to a good start, gaining 1 position over the first lap. However, lap 2 saw him get overtaken, putting him back into 10th place. Matt had a seemingly quiet drive, but as the race wore on and other drivers had problems and failures, Matt made his way up to P8. A few post-race penalties saw Matt promoted to 7th overall and 5th in class. Sunday saw the second and final race of the weekend, and after a slow and leisurely start to the day of overlooking the previous day's race start, checking everything was tightened up properly on the car, and having a healthy breakfast of flapjacks, it was time to start the car up and get racing. After a solid start to the race, Matt held position through Paddock Hill Bend to remain 10th, before gaining a place 8 laps later due to another car dropping out. Over the remaining laps, Matt caught up with Sam Meagher in front of him, and what we were about to witness was nothing short of sheer brilliance.
And Meagher in 8th, having an amazing battle with Harvey in 9th. We've got just over 1.5 minutes left on the clock, so I'm trying to see where our race leader is, because this will be the penultimate lap of the race. But at the minute, we've got Harvey and Meagher going toe-to-toe. Harvey's going to have the inside line this time. Matt Harvey, can he make this stick? He's been behind Meagher the entire race. Last of the late breakers. Oh, there's a little like there was a bit of a nudge almost. Not quite. It didn't quite touch. But Harvey looked like he got a bit unsteady under braking.
Yeah, completely sideways, but I think they kept it clean. But that was brave round the outside as a defensive move, and he's going to keep it all the way around the outside of Druids. If he can hold on now and get a good exit, he may just be able to lunge it up inside of Graham Hill Bend to keep his position.
Is he going to do it?
Harvey locks up, goes wide.
Great races by Harvey and Meagher here. Harvey now does take the place though.
With 2 laps to go, Matt had pulled off the overtake of the century, going sideways through Paddock Hill Bend, but managing to stay alongside before finally overtaking Sam through Graham Hill Bend. That put Matt up into 8th, before another car dropping out hoisted him up to 7th. So Mr. Consistent strikes again, 7th in both races, but what a way to get there. It's safe to say, Matt and the team were ecstatic.
Mega racing. Yeah, that's good. I knew I'm just gonna have him. I'm gonna have him. Yeah, fun. Good fun.
These fantastic results over the weekend have put Matt 5th overall in the 20-car championship with 28 points, while he also sits 4th in class, a position the team could only have dreamed of before coming into the weekend.
Victor in.
So what a fantastic start to the season, and with 4 race weekends left, we're excited to see where Matt ends up at the end of the year. The car will go off for its post-race checks before being ready to race again at Oulton Park on the 13th of May, where we hope you'll be able to join us. Until then, thank you very much for watching, we hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you again soon.